Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Monday Musings, Danny SportsWrap. It's brought to you by Dillon's Heating and Cooling. Give Jeff and his crew a ring or stop by their website. Make sure you listen to the commercial coming up, and you'll find out all about your HVAC needs and the man to do it for you in a friendly way and treat you like family, as they say. And glad to have you along on our little Monday journey. Smiles on our faces. Good weekend. Boy, we're getting a lot of sports packed in these days on the weekend. All the things we usually get involved in my world, there's a lot of soccer too, and I was able to head out to sporting on Saturday and do it sort of like a fan, and that was super enjoyable. And we've got the NBA cooking. We've got some great stories in the world of golf. We've got all kinds of things going on in the NBA, as I mentioned, and that all allows us to distract a little bit from the Kansas City Royals. Oh boy, we'll get to them a little bit later on. It's officially summer now. We look ahead to our big summer holiday. It was a neat weekend for me as my wife has put a flag in the ground for a trip we're going to take early in the fall after she gets through some health concerns, and that is something really to look forward to and make a little plan or not make a plan, kind of doing a driving thing like we did a few years ago and as I did in my book, Leaving Cancer for the Circus. So we're looking forward to that and seeing some beautiful countryside out west, and that sounds like a great thing to look forward to. And a great thing to look forward to is this edition of Monday Musings. We're wrapping on sports, talking about a lot of things, starting up with sporting. We'll get to those Royals later, and oh boy, like I said, oh boy, I guess that's the theme for the Royals right now, but lots of other things to talk about coming up next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Time to spend a few minutes with my good friend Jeff Dillon from Dillon's Heating and Cooling. And Jeff, what differentiates your company from others in the industry?
Plain and simple, we're honest. We have integrity, and we're going to do things right the first time. There's way too many companies out there that lie, cheat, hide things from the homeowner or customer, and we're not about that. It's kind of funny sometimes. I actually am so honest with some people, it kind of surprises them. But sometimes it's good for business, sometimes it's bad for business. But ultimately, it's the kind of business that I want to run, is an honest one.
And that family way of treating things is part of your slogan, and it's also part of one of your great features that you offer to customers.
Our slogan is like family. Our most popular maintenance plan is called the Family Plan. It's very similar to a lot of ones out there. The little tweak that we do to ours, 1% off for every 2 years. They have a continued maintenance plan with us. If they have a maintenance plan for 10 years, then we give them 5% off. No questions asked.
You can find out more about Dillon's Heating and Cooling and all their great range of services at dillon'sheatingandcooling.com. That's Dillon's with an S. The phone number, 913-214-1343. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. Let's have a brief conversation with David Schmidt from Pro Millennial. David, what differentiates you from other financial organizations?
I would say the passion we have for seeing our clients succeed is probably paramount to what we do here. There's no joy greater than watching a client accumulate wealth. I had a client that I've had for many years was able to buy his dream warehouse. Nothing too extravagant, but we had a savings plan in place and was able to see him fulfill his dreams.
And what else motivates you in this industry?
Well, lately it's been finding out inconsistencies in the marketplace, ferreting out some more than questionable ideas out there that what we're seeing with Bitcoin and a few of these other cryptocurrencies right now. I'm of the opinion where if it's untraceable, it really needs to be regulated in a big way right now.
To get more information and advice from David, visit promillennial.com or call 816-221-7775. That's 816-221-7775. I'm here with Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing, and boy, we had to negotiate a million things in 2020, but Easton Roofing navigated them all. As 2021 rolls out, what should we expect this coming storm season?
Well, Danny, it'll be the same thing as it is every year. The storms come, and you've got the guys out knocking on doors, offering quote-unquote free inspections. Be wary as a homeowner. If somebody's knocking on your door, they probably need the work, and if they need the work that bad, they may be willing to do something untoward to get it. So if somebody knocks on your door, says they want to give you a free inspection, just tell them have a great day and give us a call. We'll come out for free and give you a good, honest opinion as to whether or not you need to do anything at all with your roof.
And what's the best way to get in touch with Easton Roofing?
You can always find us online at eastonroofing.com or give us a call at 913-257-5426.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Welcome back, and let's give the lead spot to Sporting Kansas City, and certainly they have earned it for so many reasons. Let's just look back about a year or so. Sporting Kansas City was one of the lead franchises in all of sports and plotting out a way to return from COVID, instructing other teams, not only in their league, but across sports as far as training methods and other things were concerned. They had a bounce-back season from a successful year. They came into this year, and certainly now that we have full crowds and everything, it just is a real different vibe and a great transition from Sporting as they work past some ends of an era with Matt Beasler moving on to Austin FC, and just a lot of things playing into what's going on with Sporting Kansas City right now. And on Saturday afternoon, I took the opportunity to sort of be a fan. I sat in the stands for the Sporting match against LAFC. But when you do what I do, you're never just completely, totally a fan. You're always observing and thinking about how you're going to describe things and everything else. But I still was able to soak in the entire experience, which is a great one. From entering the stadium, for all the happy and excited faces, people grabbing a beverage and getting ready to watch the action, and watching the fireworks and enjoying the national anthem, and just about everything that goes into a great sporting event. It's a fun crowd. It's a diverse crowd, diverse demographically, from younger people to older people and people of all races and creeds. It's just a really fun atmosphere to immerse yourself in. And on a side note, it's probably one of the more fit groups of 20,000 people that you're going to see at American sporting event. I guess it's just the nature of soccer, and people who've probably played some soccer, or their kids play soccer. They're involved with all that type of stuff, but that's just a little aside. But the game itself certainly was one that really was an entertaining one from start to finish. It was sort of a typical home game for Sporting as they came roaring out of the blocks, and for the first 15 minutes were completely the dominant side. It looked like maybe this was going to be a long day for LAFC, but unbelievably electric atmosphere. But as has so often happened these days, the opponent has grabbed the first goal, and Kim Moon-Wan, off a nice play and counterattack by LAFC, scored in about just before the 30th minute or so. And really, after that, for the rest of the first half, it was actually a little bit earlier than that, LAFC kind of took over the game. It kind of somehow, usually that will inspire Sporting to, get back on the front foot. And in this case, it seemed to kind of take the wind out of their sails. But as we would see, it didn't take the wind out of their sails all day long, as Tristan Blackman in the 58th minute was sent off for his second yellow card that obviously turns it into a red card. And down a man, LAFC just couldn't withstand what Sporting had to offer, as the team came roaring back and scored in the 61st minute. Daniel Shalloway crossed one in, and Alan Polito was able to knock it home, and Sporting tied the score. And Shalloway himself later on would send the whole crowd into hysterics in the 87th minute with a goal. LAFC had some chances. There was a 10-minute, almost apocalyptic rain shower that had those who stuck down low in their seats get them all soaked. And sometimes that's fun for fans, too, to feel like they really sacrificed for their club. I headed for cover, that's for sure. But the whole atmosphere, the whole thing was really, really a fun afternoon. And Sporting now is just a couple of points off the Supporters' Shield and a couple of points off the top spot in the West, and they did a bunch of remarkable things again in this game. It was the fifth come-from-behind victory that they've had. and nobody else has more than one in MLS this year. They have gathered 13 points out of losing positions. LAFC, on the other hand, has given up 12 points from winning positions, so it's sort of was the shoe was on the other foot. And Sporting just seemingly shrugs off what often is very much a death sentence in soccer, which is to give up the first goal. Maybe you can come back and grab a result or a draw, but not too many times are you going to come back and win the game. And Sporting now has done it already 5 times, and they've only played 12 games, and the 5 times is a club record. It's really a remarkable thing, and there's so many remarkable things about Sporting Kansas City, and even if you're not the biggest soccer fan, going out there and having that experience, I think if you've never done it, would be something that you could really, really enjoy. And now Sporting is back to being one of the better clubs in the league, and they have a lot of excitement, and they have a couple of people in Polito and Shallowy who are reliable right now as far as goal scoring is concerned, something that has plagued Sporting, and that they've scored 2 or more goals in a host of their games so far this year. And of course they have had to in a couple of those, 5 times they've had to, obviously, in coming back in those situations. So all in all, things right now are going very, very well for Peter Vermes' club. And on Monday Musings, we always like to check in with Peter Vermes and get his analysis of the way things go. It just doesn't seem like a really good Monday Musings when Sporting doesn't play, and I can't hear from the great analysis and intensity from Peter Vermes. And he breaks down what was yet another nice day at the office at Children's Mercy Park as Sporting won their 10th consecutive game without a defeat at Children's Mercy Park.
We were definitely tired here at the end. It was evident we were tired for sure. I thought LAFC was strong throughout the game today. What we found was a way to come back, and we have a really interesting, and I mean it in a positive way, a really interesting mentality within the group, because they definitely believe, even though today maybe we weren't as sharp as we have been with the ball and just our circulation of the ball in the field, we still found a way, to chip away at the other team. And look, I always think it's interesting. It's not easy for a team like us when we always try to drive the game at home. Because teams know that coming in, and so they want to take advantage of that. But I wouldn't do it any other way, because I think it's part of the entertainment value of this game and for our crowd. So we're going to constantly try to be on the front foot. We're going to constantly try to be a team that is aggressive in our mentality to go and score goals. And credit to the guys for staying in the game and finding a way to come back. And it's never easy playing against a team that goes down a man, and we found the way late in the game, and then we held on to the win, which was great.
You said it was tough playing a team with 10 men. How do you strike that balance of not overcommitting? Because LA looked dangerous a couple of times at the ends, and you think 11 versus 10 should be an easy job. I think we were tired. So I think one is we were tired. I think 2 is you can't deny the fact that they're a very good team, and they have some game changers in. When Vela comes on, when you bring him off the bench for the second half, he's a different player. It's just like Allen. Allen scores an unbelievable goal. Then he gets hurt. So, it's a fine line sometimes in the game. And today, it's like you look at the Portland game. We played really well in that game. I mean, we played really well, and the scoreline, to me, at the end of the day, doesn't represent how well we played. Whereas today, I think that LA played probably over the course of the game was probably, I don't want to say they were better than us. I think they were just in the game a little bit more, a little sharper at times than we were. But we found a way to win because of a couple things. I think 1 is mentality. 2 is that we have some players that can change the outcome of the game. And the other is the relentlessness, to score goals. And the guys keep going after it, which is great.
Peter, obviously throughout the year, and then obviously today with Jalen and Allen, you've dealt with injuries just all throughout the pitch and all through your squad. What does it say about your team just when you may not have a strong stuff on the pitch, but you're still getting great results?
Well, everybody understands their role and responsibility when they go in, and there's an accountability factor as well. It's hard to go into a game and realize that, and not realize that you have a role to play to try to help capture the result, keep the result, and The guys feel that. And that's a sign of a team that, wants to compete. And that's a good thing. It's a great thing. We also got to get healthy, across the board. I'm amazed sometimes at how guys get injured and for all the things that we do and all the training and all the preparation and all the things, but it's a tough game. And you have to run a lot. It's a lot of demand. This was a tough week with, 3 games in a short period of time. So hopefully we'll get healthy and we'll be back.
How difficult is it for you tactically to deal with so many injuries?
Well, it is. And I think also when at the end of the game, like an example is after we scored the second goal, if I had another sub, I probably would have done something at that moment. But I was unable to because we had to use the subs for the injuries. And there's also the accumulation factor, right? So then the other problem, too, is that you got to remember you have some certain guys being injured that are already out, which actually could have started this game and maybe not started Roger Espinoza in this game, right? Or maybe Wednesday. So it's that rotation of roster that you're also unable to do. The good thing is we got this game this week, and then we got a little time off, and I hope to get quite a few guys back after that.
What do you attribute this team's come-from-behind approach to? Sporting have 5 come-from-behind wins.
I think it's a belief the guys have. That's what I think. I think it's a belief. They have a belief in the way that we play. They feel good about the way they're playing. Yeah, I think that's what it is, a belief.
After 3 games in 8 days, Sporting gets a little time off before playing next weekend in L.A. against the Galaxy on a 4th of July setting, and that should provide a lot of excitement as well. Just everything on the uptick as far as Sporting Kansas City is concerned, and we see it all across the landscape of sports now, but full-capacity crowds creating great excitement. You hear it from baseball players talking about it as the restrictions are lifted. Milwaukee Brewers were talking about it over the weekend as they were playing their first full-capacity games, and people, you don't sometimes know what you missed until it's gone, and the excitement of having packed houses in San Diego. The baseball players have talked about that as well, as they've had big series against the Dodgers. But here in Kansas City, a lot of excitement being created by Sporting Kansas City. And it's a shame if you miss out because you, just don't like soccer or whatever. But anyway, that's everybody has their own taste. But if you have any interest in it, it really is fun out there at Children's Mercy Park. Sporting hasn't lost in their last 10 outings there, and they've often done it in wildly exciting and creative fashion, and nowhere more in evidence on Saturday. It was great to soak that in and have a really, really great experience, and you see that Sporting is overcoming injury. They are using their depth, and all that can just really play into even further success down the road as some people get some extra playing time. Others return from injury, and a fully fit Sporting Kansas City team looks super dangerous right now. It was just a great day on Saturday at Children's Mercy Park, and it was a pleasure to be part of it.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here once again with Dr. Brad Woodle from Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture. Springtime, good weather's finally here. People want to stay active, and it's your job to make sure that they can stay active, and be healthy.
Danny, we see a lot of not just weekend warriors, but people that every day are having that want to get back to activity. Whether you're starting with walking, jogging, or maybe that first 5K of the year, we want to help you out. We specialize in taking care of all ages, from kids all the way to grandmas and grandpas, but absolutely specialize in getting you back to full function and keeping you in great shape.
So in short, how do we go about doing that?
The first thing is to schedule a consultation with one of our doctors and therapists so we can see how you move and how you're supposed to move. Based on our assessment, we can put together a short treatment plan and a set of goals to help you both feel better, function better, and most importantly, stay better for this year and many years to come.
Learn more at asfca.com/Danny. That's asfca.com/Danny.
Hey everyone, this is Matt Llewellyn for the 23rd Street Brewery. Thank you so much for supporting local restaurants, especially through this pandemic. And you know what? We're almost through it. At the 23rd Street Brewery, we have brought in a few more tables. You can wear a mask if you want, or not. It's your choice. Other than that, we're open 11:30 every single day. So come see us at the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence.
Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from RecExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit RecExpert.com and learn more. We're here with Michael Barber, the CEO and founder of Microlite Corporation of America, the world leaders in laser therapy. And Michael, tell us a little bit about your product.
Our device is using a particular wavelength and power to reduce pain and swelling. My background is surgical lasers, but I've been involved with this particular device now for about the last 20 years, actually.
And I know that it works because I've had it used on me as well. And tell us about the relationship you have with your company and Canaway.
It's what I call a strategic business relationship in that Canaway, the leader in the field of the cannabinoid systems and CBD oil, but our device used in conjunction with Canaway CBD oil gives a better pain relief outcome for the patient.
And if you want to get that pain relief outcome like I did, you can reach their local representative, Sherry McCants, at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyClinkScale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
We're back, and it's hard to imagine that as of early this month, the Royals were still a winning team. A few games over 500 after they had bounced back from that terrible 11-game losing streak and looked like maybe that would be the low water mark of the year. Well, thank goodness they packed in some wins early in the season because this month the Royals are basically the worst team in baseball. They've lost 17 of their last 21. They lost yesterday 4-1 to Texas. That makes it 17 times this year. They've scored 0 or 1 run in a game, and that just about ensures defeat. And as I mentioned just before the break, it is the 4th streak of 5 or more. You look at the Royals lineup right now, and they have a couple of black holes in Jorge Soler and Hunter Dozier, players that were really going to rely on. There's some guys who are playing a lot now who you really wouldn't have wanted to be playing a lot, like Gerard Dyson and Kelvin Gutierrez, Ryan O'Hearn. These were supposed to be spare parts or maybe not even on the team. And right now, in grasping for some kind of offense, Mike Matheny's putting them out there, and Gutierrez hit for a little bit, but now he's down to 215. Dyson provided a little spark for a little while, but now he's at 242. I mean, up and down the lineup, and the few guys who are contributing are doing so well, but even they are compromised a little bit. Whit Merrifield's been hitting, but still his OPS is in the mid-700s, nothing to write home about. Carlos Santana has been cool for a while, and he's below the 800 mark in OPS. Even Sal Perez has slumped just a bit, and he, I think, is probably feeling the weight of being basically the water carrier for this entire offense, and it just is not good at all. And when Nicky Lopez is your bright spot, that's not necessarily good either, but at least there is a bright spot, and he has been hitting. He's up to 263, been very has been able to fill in for Adalberto Mondesi on a pretty consistent basis and do a decent job. So I guess that's a pretty good story. But all this puts a lot of stress on the pitching, and the Royals starting pitching has been among the worst in baseball in most categories. And when they do get a good pitching performance, generally they don't hit. And so they probably feel like when they go out there, they have to be perfect. And certainly Brady Singer yesterday was not perfect. He wasn't bad, 5 innings. Just 4 hits, 3 runs, but he got his team in a hole with 3 runs in the first inning. Part of it his own doing with an error, as the Royals were sloppy yesterday. They've been kind of sloppy much of the season, even when they were winning. So Singer was the subject of at least a few comments from Mike Matheny after the game yesterday.
Talking about a triple and a home run, both on 0-2 pitches. Fastball, it had life. It was had good depth to it. Ball was jumping. He got into even the ball that was thrown away. That was an 0-2 count too. I mean, he was pounding the strike zone, and unfortunately, the 0-2 2 pitches got him. It's amazing how in the first inning, that can set the tone for the game. But he continued, I thought, to make really good pitches. Slider came along real well. And then pitched himself out of some trouble in the 5th. But I thought the stuff looked right, and he felt good, which is always the best news. Just like I said, today it was self-induced trouble with an error, and then 0-2 pitches. And you're talking about part of the lineup that you just don't want to make that many mistakes with. And, dangerous 3-4 spot that both of them got into good counts. And like I said, you just never know when that game could change. And he got himself into a good place. And then they made him pay for making a mistake on the 0-2 pitch. It's not like there's one consistent thing every night. Part of it's young pitchers learning tough lessons, but I think really it was just a couple mistakes. After that, he threw the ball really well.
One thing that's been pretty reliable for the Royals has been their bullpen, and they're leaning on it even more these days because Danny Duffy basically has been placed in the role of opener, and now they're using a couple of openers. They really only have a couple of pitchers who are expected or hoped for to go out there and actually provide some depth, as basically they're down to Brad Keller and Mike Minor just about as far as doing that is concerned, and Singer. And so they basically have 3 real bona fide starting pitchers, and Keller's been really bad, so that's not necessarily good. But the bullpen has been reliable, even some of the people they brought up, but that's been about it for the Royals. And when one looks ahead, like I said, my feeling is I'm kind of glad they packed some wins in because they really have the look of a team that could, lose 100 games again. But I think maybe they won enough games early on where that will not be the case. But certainly just before the 4th of July, there's not many good things to talk about regarding the Kansas City Royals. There is a neat little local golf story, and probably, it's almost impossible for you to do unless you're really seeking it out, which I am doing, and the man I'm talking about is Chase Hanna. He plays on the European Challenge Tour, and that is basically the equivalent of the Korn Ferry Tour in the United States, and he's played at PGA Tour Latino America. He's a former University of Kansas golfer from the Kansas City area. He was an all Big 12 performer. He's 26 years of age now. He's trying to go the route that actually Brooks Koepka took in qualifying for the European Tour through the Challenge Tour and then playing some on the European Tour and then coming to America. Well, Chase Hanna finished second yesterday in a tournament over in France. I had the name written down, but it doesn't really matter. Oh, the Tournament de Bragna in France, on the north coast of France. Beautiful looking area. Anyway, it's his 4th top 10, 3rd in a row on that particular tour. He seems almost certain now to make the top 20, which gets you a card. The further up you go, obviously top 5 gets you far more exemptions and things of the like. But I was texting with Chase over the weekend. We did a Kansas City profile a couple of years ago with him. And he's a really nice young man, and so it gives me something to check in on. And a couple of weeks ago, I was just sort of knocking around. I had heard, through Facebook or whatever, a couple of mentions, and so I started to look it up on the European Tour website, and Chase Hanna's really making a dent there. So something else for you to follow. If you go to EuropeanTour.com, they'll have a little tab for the Challenge Tour there, and you can catch up with a Kansas City golfer, something else to root for in the world of golf. And that was really kind of the only thing I was going to mention about golf, because I try not to put too much in unless it's a major or whatever. But then the PGA Tour tournament in Hartford, where I used to go quite often, actually, back in the day. I've probably been to that tournament 8 or 9 times. And they went out and had a record-tying 8-hole playoff as Harris English and Kramer Hickok could not make a birdie for hole after hole after hole. And finally English did, and he won the tournament. But the tournament went so long that I obviously usually watch golf, especially if I've got a lot of other things going on DVR, because you can go quite fast. Well, I DVR'd an extra 60 minutes for that tournament, and it wasn't enough. So I didn't really see the conclusion live. Watched it again late last night. But actually, 8-hole playoffs are not really all that exciting sometimes, because basically what it means is people are not grabbing the opportunity to win a tournament. It wasn't, especially in this case, they were just making pars. If they were making a bunch of birdies on each other, that would be kind of exciting, but certainly not the case in this one. But 8 holes of playoff before Harris English gets his second win of the PGA Tour season. And the NBA obviously is getting closer to the finals now, and the Phoenix Suns can punch their ticket tonight and become another unlikely franchise to make the NBA Finals. There is still the possibility, although the Bucks are up 2-1 after last night, that there's 3 teams out of the 4 that would win their first ever NBA championship. The Bucks, of course, have won a championship back in the day of Lou Alcindor, just before he became Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And so it's been a little bit refreshing to see these different playoffs. Now, it's not been refreshing to see that some of the stars have been hurt, and that's probably the reason why some of these teams are even here. But it is kind of different to see some new faces and new stars and things like that. And I have enjoyed the NBA action, even as we talked about last week, when the end of the game is marred by all of the replays and such. So I almost prefer a game that's a little bit cut and dried, like an 8-point win like the Bucks put up last night, so that you don't have to deal with that down the stretch. But still, looking ahead to the NBA Finals, whoever it will be, and still a lot of good NBA action to add to your sports goulash, as it were, as it was a really fun sports weekend, despite the fact that we have to avert our eyes a little bit from the Kansas City Royals. Join me all through the week for all the different things that we do here at the Reasonably Irreverent podcast, and look forward to your input. Make sure to check in with me if you like at danny@DannyKlingscale.com. And I'll have a blog up in the next couple of days with perhaps the chance for you to win something as well. So pay attention to that. And it's all part of the mix at DannyKlingscale.com and the Reasonably Irreverent podcast.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Dillon's Heating and Cooling, treating you like family with expert and affordable HVAC services.